Hello everyone and welcome back to Age Nagash, channel dedicated to Age of Sigmar, and in this video we'll be looking at a bit of news, and this is going to be from Warhammer first, and of course this is going to be the contrast which Games Workshop have been sort of teasing us with, and they have finally announced what it is. So essentially what it is, from what I can see, is it looks like a different type of wash for your models, a different type of shade. Now why is that important and why am I excited about it? Now, that is because traditionally quite a few people have been doing this. I do this with some of my models. When you spray a model white and then you'll put a wash over it to simulate a painting effect, but in a very quick manner. A example of this would be if you were painting gutbusters, ogres, that sort of thing. Sometimes people spray them white because then that means that you can put a Reichland flesh shade over the white to make a skin colour really quite easy and simple. However, it can be a bit pale. It doesn't feel as good as if you were to, layer the paint on exactly, but it takes about a fifth of the time. So some people do it just to get an army on the board, which I don't really have much of a problem with at all. Another thing, what it's like is if you're painting ghosts and you've got things like Hexwraith Flame, I think it's called, and you've got that more blue colour which Games Workshop came out with, which you just simply put over white, and then you've got a a base colour to work on already nice and quickly, and it works really well. So what contrast is, it's like the next evolution of that, essentially. So from what it is, I have a picture on the screen now so you can see how they've got choosing the old method, or well, they call it the classic method, or choosing the contrast method. And essentially what it is it is a wash or liquid, but it pulls more into the recesses, and it somehow doesn't layer on too thick on flat areas by the looks of things, so you don't get those very dark. So if something's meant to be basically a highlight, but there's been a pile of a wash that's just been left there, it'll go dark, and then where the highlight is darker than where the recess is. Doesn't make much sense. So what this is it's meant to pull all into the recesses, so it's meant to naturally make highlights. That's from what I can see so far, and that's how they sort of explained it in their video as well. And if it works, this is quite simple, guys, because it's one thing them showing us a demonstration, because in this, the contrast method, in this picture, of course, basically what it's doing is it's got a Primaris Marine there, and he's got this, the blue contrast paint going on him. And of course, they later paint him with all the details and stuff. That doesn't. The contrast paint isn't that amazing. Obviously, if you can achieve that effect with that blue, this is truly going to be one of the best paints or painting styles Games Workshop came up with. And some people might say, I don't know, it takes some of the art out of it or something like that, because there's less effort involved. However, personally for me, I think just for getting, battle line on the table, or just for getting your hordes on the table, because there's some armies I would really like to do, but the reason I don't do them is because it's just going to take far too long to paint, because I've made the mistake before with armies. However, like I say, if this paint is coming out and it's going to make it that much easier to get hordes onto the board, then absolutely amazing. Because traditionally, with some horde armies, it's like skeletons are easier to get painted on the board than, let's say, clan rats, as clan rats have got multitude of colours on them, where skeletons have probably got about 3 main colours on them, as the example. So if you want a horde army, it's going to be quicker for you to do ones with skeletons than ones with fewer clan rats generally. However, with this, how they've shown it in their video as well, is that the contrast paints they came up with, there's so many of them that really they can be suited for any model. What I would say is they're not going to be suited for, the centerpiece of your army. Now, you probably could use them for your centerpiece of your army. There's nothing stopping you. However, it's still going to be nicer to paint that by layering it and so on, rather than just trying to be really quick and easy. But the beauty of that is, by getting all your chaff, all your battle line, all your horde units, all those sorts of things painted so quickly, it means you can spend more time on the focal point of your army, and the heroes, the centerpieces, the monsters, all those sorts of things, which is really beautiful. And by the looks of things, there's going to be quite a few of these contrast paints coming out. They're not just releasing like 4 or something like that. It's going to be like a whole range. Absolutely great. and I don't know how much they're going to be. I would like to think they're going to be standing Games Workshop prices, which are already very expensive for paint, but you know, Games Workshop, they might charge them like a £5 for each one, just because they're like, oh, well, it's the new type of technical paint, you know, it's taken ages to research it, it's going to cost more. You know, I really don't want that, because like a wash, you're going to go through this paint very quickly as well, and there's always going to be times where you're probably going to knock it over, and if you knock over that and it's really expensive, and if it's basically half the size of a wash pot but the same price, and you knock it over, then you're just wasting like £5 more easily on you. But however, hopefully these will be the same price as normal paints, which I know they used to be £2.55 in the UK. I think they might have gone up since then, but that sort of price I'm more than happy with. So hopefully they're not going to be too expensive. I believe they said they're going to be released in June, so not too far at all. To be honest, when they said June, I was like, oh, that's a little bit further away, but to be honest, we're the 11th of May at the date of this recording, so we're not too far. So yes, that's great. But in summary, guys, basically, I love me a contrast paint, because this is going to save me so much time. But also, the lovely thing about this is it just means that we all have fought against armies of grey plastic, haven't we? You know, the Great War against the grey. And we all have fielded grey plastic models. If there's some of you out there who have never fielded a single grey plastic model, then very well done. So, this new paint seems to be very true in what they said about helping to fight the war against the grey, and it's just a really quick and simple way to do it. What I am happy with is that contrast didn't turn out to be this April Fool's joke, which at first it looked like it was going to. It is actually a thing, and the other thing which some people thought it could be was, number one, an airbrush, which, to be honest, that would have been interesting. I've never used an airbrush, so I'll originally a bit like, doesn't really apply to me, but I suppose I could have tried it out, but it's not an airbrush. And then the second thing it could have been, it's like a commission painter team from a Games Workshop, which sounds amazing, but they probably would have just contracted it out to some other company, and that still sounds really cool. You know, like instead of just buying models out of the box, you know, they come already painted, and they're painted, you know, by a verified Games Workshop company and all those sorts of things. That will be very good. But the problem is it would either not be up to standard, or it would just be incredibly expensive, like incredibly, where only like so few people would do it that Games Workshop could actually manage the workload. So the contrast paints that have came out, for me, is the best thing that could have happened, in all honesty. And we all like to say, like, well, I'm sure some people, and I'm sure we all don't like to, but quite a few people, myself included, sometimes feel like, oh, it'd be nice if the models came already painted, that sort of stuff. However, the amount of satisfaction that I personally get out of taking, you know, this grey frame of plastic, you know, the sprue, and cutting it up, breaking all the little, you know, rough bits off, smoothing it down, gluing it together, and then making a base for it, and then painting it, and then by the time it's done, the amount of satisfaction I get by completing that model from start to finish, for me, is worth more than having the models already painted and the time saved. So guys, that is my thought on what we have heard from the announcement of what contrast is. I'll be really interested to hear your thoughts down below, and I'll make sure to cover more things that are announced from Warhammer Fest, if it's Warhammer Age Sigma related. If it's not, but it's like quite a big thing, 40k maybe, we'll see what happens. But yes, I'll be following it as much as I can, guys, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, subscribe and comment down below, so that all does really help the channel, and it's absolutely free for you guys to do so. And if you'd like to support the channel a step further, I've now set up a Patreon account, which is a way for me to get support to the channel rather than putting up adverts, as you know, YouTube doesn't pay, you know, YouTubers like me and stuff, because I don't want to have the adverts on channels like things are stated. The money goes towards great things like being able to afford battle tomes, being able to save up for a bit of equipment, things like just basically being able to justify time putting into the channel, and it's a really great way to improve the content of the channel. So there'll be a link to that below. On that note, I'd like to thank my vampires on Patreon, which is tier 2, and these people donate $5 a month. And this is going to be to Mark, Kyle, Simon and Martin. So again, guys, thank you very much for your donation, and I look forward to putting it all to use. It's saving up, definitely. I was thinking about spending it straight away to get like the battle tomes and stuff, but no, I bought the battle tomes myself, but I think it is definitely going to get saved up to just get something a bit nicer, like a microphone or a camera or something. Would be really cool. So guys, like I said, I hope you very much enjoyed this video, and please let me know your thoughts on contrast down below. So guys, I thank you very much for watching this, and remember, until next time, Nagash us all, and all is one in Nagash.